As a result of this, 3 Gophers men's basketball players have been suspended for the rest of the season. I'm not sure if that's just the regular season or if that includes the conference tournament as well. Whether it does or doesn't, it makes no difference on, any chances of teams winning games or not winning games. The Gophers stink. They're not going to beat anybody in the tournament you know, full strength or less. So, in that regards, it really doesn't matter. Now, what I want to clear up for everybody on it, because I'm not going to talk too much about it because we don't have time. Or I don't have time, I should say. But here to me is the talker on it, because a lot of people, you've got your people that are outraged by it, and what a horrible act, and how can you do that, and of course they should be punished. Maybe they should be punished even more, and then of course you've got your other people that are, well, was what they did really that bad? And here's the thing, okay? So here's the thing. First off, from like a moral, or was it right or wrong or bad or good or anything like that, what they did, there is no answer to that. You're entitled to your own opinion, and everyone else is entitled to theirs. Me personally, if you've got a group of, in this case, you've got one female and 2 males, and they're all of legal adult age, and if they are all consenting to the acts taking place, both with each other and what is being done with the video filming of those acts, and then if they are all knowledgeable of and consenting to the distribution or posting or whatever you want to call it of said video, then absolutely nothing they're doing is illegal. Not one bit illegal. It's all very, yeah, that's acceptable. You can do that. So in those regards, none of us really have any right to be upset about the situation or at the people involved at all. Now, where the school is completely within their rights to suspend the players is the same as with anything else. If whatever you work at for your job, let's say, for example, you're a police officer or a teacher or a doctor or literally any job in the world that encounters working with other human beings, and you do this exact same thing. You participate in the act, you videotape it, you put the video of it online for the world to see, and people at your work and or your consumer base find out about it. Your company has every right to reprimand you or take whatever action they want, in response. Like that's completely within their right too. Like, it's within your right to do it, but it's also within their right to respond. And it's you are a part of their corporation, or in this case, a part of their university and a part of their athletic program. And your actions are, and as such, you and your actions are directly tied to, in this case, the university and its image. Absolutely, they're 100% within their right to punish however they want. So I guess we really shouldn't be mad at anybody, unless you think that, unless you're a big Gophers fan who thinks that this ruins our chance now of winning the Big Ten tournament that we were going to before this suspension happened. Unless you're that guy or gal, you shouldn't be mad at anybody. Like, everybody's completely within their rights, and I think all the proper outcomes took place. And the funny thing on it that I want to just throw in before we move on to some final couple quickie topics is, what the heck is up with these Patino guys? I mean, seriously, all we hear about this whole college basketball season has been dominated now by the 2 Patinos, Rick and his son Rich, and their sex scandals with players in their programs at their universities. Crazy. What is up with these Patino guys? I don't know. Ladies, if you have the chance to get with a Patino guy, to marry a Patino guy, don't do it unless you're a gold digger, okay? If you're a gold digger, hit up a Patino guy. It's easy pickings, okay? But otherwise, avoid at all costs, ladies. All right, so that's it for college basketball. Let's quickie to, well, technically the next big thing on the list is UFC, so we should do that. Now, since we like to do things in a sensible order here on the show, we will start chronologically with what took place at Fight Night over in London in the main event between Anderson Spider Silva, returning Spider Silva, and hometown favorite Michael Bisping. And then we'll move on to our quick preview of the upcoming UFC 196 this Saturday. Rest assured, though, UFC fans, next week we will have plenty of analysis on what takes place at UFC 196 this upcoming Saturday. But as I mentioned, we start with the big main event this past Saturday over in London for Fight Night, which was really Fight Afternoon here in the United States, but it was Fight Night in London. The big main event was a returning Anderson Spider Silva taking on hometown favorite Michael Bisping. The fight went the distance. Silva did appear to have a little bit of ring rust. I was not able to see the fight in its entirety. However, I was able to see many of the highlights in the highlights, and when the fight ended, you would have thought for sure that Michael Bisping was the loser and Silva was the winner. However, when the fight was over and it was announced that it was a unanimous decision in favor of Michael Bisping and his broken up bloody face over Anderson Spider Silva, who looked like he barely even broke a sweat. So, like I said, not having watched the entire fight, it's hard to really know how accurate or inaccurate that decision was, but based off of everything I've seen and heard, it sounds pretty crazy. Sounds like the judges were very hometown biased and possibly even scared to not have Bisping win if it was at all, close. Like it felt like that was predetermined that, okay, if this fight's close, we're gonna everybody score it unanimously 1 point in favor of Bisping. It felt like that might have been in. Granted, Spiders, like I said, looked like he had a little rust, could have been a little more impressive, but still looked pretty dang good from the footage I saw. So expect a rematch. Expect it to be on a neutral site or down in Brazil, and then expect Spider to likely kill him, or expect Bisping to win again, and we don't really hear from or see Spider Silva again in UFC. That's another possibility here, and the bigger story if it were to shape out that way. But so a little bit of a shocker at Fight Night. Silva was definitely the favorite. And like I said, seems like all the obvious groundwork for a fantastic rematch coming up here between the two in the fairly near future. It would make a fantastic non-main event match on an upcoming UFC 197, 198, 199, somewhere in there. So, as I mentioned, the big UFC 196 coming up this Saturday. That's where our focus in UFC shifts to now. As usual, the online fights, prelims, should start around 5 or 5:30, and then the undercard free prelims that are always televised on Fox Sports 1 should start at 7 and run till 9, and then at 9 it will switch over to the official pay-per-view, where we have got 2 monster title fights headlining this huge event. And capping off the night will be Conor McGregor defending his welterweight belt. He's 19-2, and he will be defending that against Nate Diaz. A lot of people excited to see this match. Should be a great, violent, a lot of strikes type of match. Hopefully it lasts longer than Conor's last 13-second match, which he used to beat Jose Aldo. This match was supposed to be McGregor versus Rafael Dos Anjos, but Dos Anjos broke his foot within the last month, and Diaz was substituted in his place. However, like I said, great for UFC. It almost adds more draw. Diaz is a bigger name, in my opinion, than Dos Anjos, and that's just me as a casual fan. Though a hardcore a big time UFC fan would probably disagree and be like Dos Anjos is the bigger star, but I think Diaz is the bigger name and bigger draw, and that's always a factor in the fight racket. As far as the McGregor-Diaz fight goes, like I said, McGregor's 19-2, Diaz is 19-10. McGregor will be fighting for the first time ever at 170 pounds. Normally he fights at 145 or 155 was his last fight. So he's moving up to uncharted territory as a weight class that will definitely favor Diaz. And if Diaz is competitive and even victorious, that will certainly be thought of as one of the key factors in that outcome. Like I said, both guys like to strike a lot. Both guys decent at grappling, though, too. Everything on paper says McGregor should win this. However, my inside UFC source, who is an expert who genuinely really knows his stuff, says he would not be surprised at all if Diaz wins. He's not necessarily picking Diaz to win. He's not necessarily not picking Diaz to win. I don't know if he's made a pick on this fight yet. But he takes this fight very seriously and thinks it could go either way. Me, personally, I'm saying McGregor in 3 or 4 via knockout after Diaz just gets wore down and it's McGregor's too much. Before that, we've got another phenomenal championship match. Holly Holm will be defending her perfect 10-0 record, as well as her recently won bantamweight championship that she won by defeating Ronda Rousey in both Holly and Ronda's most recent fights. She will be taking on the 17-5 Miesha Tate, who is a great female veteran of mixed martial arts. Again, on paper, this should be a slam dunk for the defending champion. However, Miesha Tate might give her a little bit of a challenge, but I don't think Miesha's got any chance of winning this fight. Picking Holly to win that very, very confidently. All right, so our other fights that we got coming up here on UFC 196, there should be 1, 2, or 3 more on the actual pay-per-view, and then the rest of them will be free either via online or Fox Sports 1 prelims. But it looks like the match before Holly and Miesha is Gian Vellante versus Ilir Latifi. Easy for me to say. Vellante is 14-6. Latifi is 12-4. Vellante got a 5-inch height advantage on him. Holy moly. They both will be fighting at 205. Vellante out of the United States. Latifi out of Sweden. I'm going with the guy with the 5-inch reach, Vellante. Are you kidding me? Or at least 5-inch height, should say. All right, and then we've also got Corey Anderson versus Tom Lawler. And boy, Anderson's 8-1, 3-inch reach advantage. They're also fighting at 205, both out of the USA. I'm going with the 8-1 Anderson over the 10-5 Lawler. And we've got Amanda Nunes, I think that's how you say that, versus Valentina Shevchenko. I like that name. Shevchenko's 12-1, Nunes 11-4. Nunes 3 inches height. They're fighting at 135, and I'm going to take Valentina to go 13-1 in this fight personally, although I honestly have no idea. Now, quickly going through the other fights on the card in no particular order necessarily. We've got Brandon Thatch fighting against Sierra Bahadur-Zarda, something like that. Thatch is 11-3. CRB is 21-6-1, so definitely got the experience. Thatch with 3 inches advantage. They're fighting at 170. Thatch out of the U.S. CR out of Afghanistan. I'm going with USA on that one, Mr. Thatch. Potential over experience, we'll say. Next, we've got Eric Silva versus Nordine Taleb. Silva's 18-6. Taleb's 11-3. Taleb's got 1 inch on him. They're at 170, and I'm going to take Taleb in that one. You can see I like win to loss ratio and reach are clearly things I like, factors I like. Next one's interesting. We got Vitor Miranda versus Marcelo Guimarães. Guimarães is 9-1-1. Miranda is 12-4. Miranda with 1 inch on him. They're fighting at 185, both out of Brazil. I'm going to go against the guy with the reach, but for the guy with the win-loss. We're going Marcelo Guimarães in that fight, even though Vitor Miranda is a pretty sweet name and a badass-looking dude. We've also got Darren Elkins versus Chaz Skelly. Skelly's 15-1. Elkins 20-5. Skelly with a 1 inch reach. They're at 145. We're going Skelly all the way. You kidding me? Then we got Diego Sanchez. I know that guy. I like him. Not to be confused with his cousin Dirty. But anyway, Sanchez is 27-8. Jim Miller's 25-7. Sanchez got 2 inches on him. They're fighting at 150.